That
why
was
is
just,
that necessarily bad?
it wasn't bad, and I realize it's not bad, and I don't have anything against it, but my initial reaction was, come on, this isn't Quake. And it was just the change of it from...
Was it sort of like taking it too far? You know, trying to get rid of the randomness too much?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, that I can understand.
Yeah, and you go back to things like Quake World, you can see actually the gradient of what some would call sophistication, what some would call nerfing and dumbing down, what some would call just like cutting the chaff. And you can look at it either way. I mean, between Quake 2 and Quake World, there was a lot of difference as far as, you know, balance goes. Quake 2 actually had some balance. But people still play Quake World even in its unbalanced nature. So, you know, good, bad, it's not especially a question of that. It's just how you prefer the pacing of the game to be played out. And you already mentioned that here we're seeing a lot more fights break out even immediately off of the spawns.
You know, I just thinking about something else. I think a player going from Quake 3 to Quake Live would have, like, it would be almost a breath of fresh air. But going the other way, which I know some of these players, they are Quake Live players, and they're happening to play Quake 3 for this tournament. It has to be pretty nerve-wracking if you've never played Quake 3 and you're not familiar with how quickly and absolutely frantic the pace can be.
Right. And of course, there's also the extra element in there that this is VQ3. CPM is a whole nother bag of beans there. Yeah.
That's a whole other notch up the up the intensity meter.
Yep.
I kind of miss it, to be honest.
Yeah, and it is kind of relieving, I would say, you know, coming back to Quake 3 after so much Quake Live and going, wow, that rocket really thrashed him. That was cool. Yeah. And that is a feeling that you just don't quite get as much, especially with the rails. I mean, the individual rails aren't quite as satisfying. But then again, how many blowouts have we seen during this cup, for example?
Too many.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and part of that is the contestant pool. We got a number of people that aren't at the same caliber as some of the top players. But on the other hand, I think that, you know, as we've been talking about for the last several minutes, it is the nature of the game.
Right.
While Quake 3 just by itself is a fantastic, and one at the time it was released, it was easily the most balanced shooter out there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, Quake Live actually does, you know, for all of its faults, and I'm not saying it's perfect by any means, Quake Live does enter a certain level of balance that even takes that formula further, as we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to judge it, say it's good or bad. I'm just saying that I guess I'm trying to point out the difference.
Exactly. And actually, if I can draw an example, the most clear-cut case of kind of the imbalance that can be both good and bad for a game is a Quake 2 map, Q2 RDM7. And even if you're unfamiliar with it, let me tell you, there's one yellow armor in the game, and this is still 100 damage railguns. One yellow armor in the entire map, and a fairly low-risk, easy-to-grab railgun. And so that means that the player in control, he can spawn rape you again and again and again and again with his railgun, because there are no real shards for you to get a hold of. There's like one little green armor back in the back room, but that doesn't afford you too much either. So, you know, the player in control has a long way to go as far as picking up these easy frags. On the other hand, he's going to have, at most, 2 yellow armors and a few shards to his name. And so it's not very difficult to topple him down. So the same thing that gives him all that control makes it even easier for one good rail, one good rocket to completely take that away. So that's really the crux of kind of the double-edged nature of kind of the imbalanced damage and armor ratios.
Yeah. So guys, I'm going to wind this one up in about 30 seconds. It looks like Zeal, aka Jovire, has come out swinging and currently leads 18-4, and Circa YDG is already saying GG. And I'm just going to bring up the stats here for just a few seconds, despite having the 14 ping. Quite nice, by the way. yeah, accuracy-wise, especially rockets, Zeal is just nearly doubling, and yeah, both in shots fired and connected. So, I mean, rather in shots connected. So, you know, very solid there. Lightning gun is also about 10% better.
So we go from a no-rail map to a nearly all-rail map. And actually, it was Circa who was playing this yesterday and really relying on that rail quite a lot, to the detriment of rocket launcher and shotgun. And I definitely want to emphasize shotgun there because that's where I think it was Rafa, wasn't it, who was really really dominating that up. Oh no, it was 0-4. That's right. So hopefully he can provide a little bit more of a balanced play this time around. But these guys are getting ready. They are F3'd up. And we harvest ourselves a countdown.
Indeed we do. So here we go, guys. Oh, and actually, give me 1 second. Oh, never mind. He found it. Okay. So we're going to watch, again, this is the lower bracket second map between Zeal and YDG, who is also known as Circa. And this is, Circa kind of got his butt handed to him on no DM9. But we're over on Pro T4, so it's good times all around.
And he also got his butt handed to him on this map yesterday by 0-4. But Zeal is obviously a different opponent. But Zeal got the initial railgun. Circa's going to have to depend on nothing but that rocket launcher for now, which means that he's going to have to really choose his angles and choose his cover carefully. And so far, he's already eaten a couple of hits here. He's able to get one little bit more bit of damage on Zeal as he exits teleporter, but he just didn't have the stack to stay in that fight. Zeal still rocking the railgun. He's going to pull together one more twofer for another frag.
And he's hitting 75% right now with that railgun. Very solid. And I mean, have we seen his opponent manage to pick up that rail so far?
Not yet.
I don't think so. Yeah.
And I do believe that it's also on a 15-second timer here. Circa's waiting for when he's actually able to get the grab. He doesn't have anything else but that plasma gun, though. So being bottom of the map, he's got to be very careful here. He's got only about 103 health, and that is ticking
finally
down.
Has one.
Well, he finally
has a rail.
Yeah. He got the pickup, and he also got a couple shards here, but he still needs to find a good angle. And his movement is looking a little shabby.
Well, in the meantime, Zeal's been able to cross the map a couple of times to get 4 yellows or 3 yellows and some shards. He's been basically stuck at about 150. Although, actually, that's a great shot coming in. And looks like we do have Circa coming out swinging. Finally, he's getting some rails put together. Several in a row will give him first frag. And so, yeah, a little bit of signs of life from YDG right now.
But he's really going to be depending on those tight angles there. And so far, it's been Zeal getting all those hits in. And, oh, finally whipping out the shotgun and pull together a fourth frag. It's 4-on-1. Zeal controlling Mega Health as well. And we're seeing Circa throw out a little bit of plasma here. Nowhere near enough to really be of any real value to him. And Circa, once again, I mean, with this railgun in hand, how is he utilizing it? What angles is he choosing here? I mean,
that was a good one. As angles go.
It was a good one for Zeal.
You know, Circa was being a little bit telegraphed there. And
exactly.
I think Zeal was able to nicely collect what was due him. So, I also noticed that Mega Health was picked up a bit late. It was picked up on 2:11, so we're going to see it again at 4:11, and that's, you know, 11 seconds into the map before Mega was grabbed. That's kind of a weird thing to see. I'm hoping that these guys will lock it down, be a bit more timely, so we can get a nice fight breaking out in front of it. 6-1 now. Zeal is letting the score climb, and his opponent is really risking all. Now, this health might be what saves. Yeah, it does save Circa. He's able to collect the health, and Zeal gets a little bit too antsy and throws it all away. So, yeah, we're still only in the realm of 3 frags separating these two.
And that was a very, very nice load of buckshot that Circa was able to unload. But after post-frag, yeah, Zeal's already got himself up a railgun. He was already headed for yellow armor. But that was a yellow armor that Circa needed to have his hands on within seconds of Zeal's death. I mean, the laxness of time there just didn't help him out at all. Hour had to forfeit to Lone Wolf.
Internet issues.
Oh.
Okay. Well, that moves the lower bracket along just a little bit more for us, and I think, let me check that really quick. That will set things up for the CZM match, I believe.
Yep.
Which can't be a bad thing, right?
Not at all.
So, yeah, we'll have CZM versus Hour, and Walter versus the winner of this, which it looks like at this point probably going to be Zeal. But it's only a 5-frag lead, and on T4, we know that can be a very fleeting lead.
I still have my doubts here because every frag that Circa's made, the response to it has not quite been there. Now, actually, this time Circa's actually able to pull together a frag without taking any damage at all, which gives him a good setup and actually still a strong stack for the next potential one. But Yellow Armor's down below. He gets the MG frag, and look at this. This Yellow Armor could set him up very nicely and make me eat my words a little bit, which I wouldn't mind at all, bringing this down to a 3-frag game. Very exciting indeed, but we still have Zeal left on top of Rocket Launcher. Circa not quite in a position where he can do any real damage, and to be honest, he was a little bit late up that jump pad. Fortunately, he was able to work with that fairly well, but he's still doing a bit of chase, and Zeal's able to hold him out at arm's length.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to take a look at the accuracy since we got a lull here. I'm waiting for this fight to finish up. I do want to see, because it seems like Circa has really started to hit some of the rails that he needed to. Now, this, of course, is the critical moment, and he does finally hit what he needs to hit. And taking a look at it, he's hitting now a 41% with that railgun. And his opponent still maintains a 50%. But 1-frag game, though.
Absolutely. And being down below, Circa's not going to quite have everything he needs, but he can grab a railgun away, prevent Zeal from having that for a few more seconds, and hopefully he can capitalize on this short time. Rocket nearly catching him in the face, but now he's got to be very cautious. He can't exactly afford to go up the jump pad. He's got to head back mid-map, and look at the Zeal is keeping him with these rockets away from every little advantageous position. I mean, you could see Circa just wanting to get that frag, wanting to get that angle on him, but Zeal's doing a very good defensive game right now. This is going to give him enough time to get stacked up, get perhaps a yellow armor or two, and definitely probably get himself a railgun. There it is.
Yeah, and that's really bad timing for Circa. He's now quite weak, and Zeal pounces and connects. So 9-7 now, and I think this is going to be a little bit of a spawn frag run here. Zeal is hunting, and definitely finds his opponent there. You know, I have to say that I almost feel like Circa gave Zeal way too much room, and as you mentioned, Zeal working himself around the map nicely to finally collect the railgun, which, you know, given the fact that he's shooting at about 10% better than his opponent, I would hope that maybe Circa would try to play keep away just a little bit longer with that. It really hasn't been rockets or anything for Circa to, you know, they haven't been the game changer. It's been all about the rail. So.
Rail and shoddy for Zeal here. And there's another beautiful frag with it right there. And that little play, I mean, back when Circa made that initial frag, Zeal did just an excellent job of making sure that Zeal could not capitalize on that. Pull indeed. And Zeal's going to be able to run this for a bit longer. And even when he gets himself off balance, even when he's not quite in control, he's got a very good sense of pacing here. And I don't see him having a large problem with any of Circa's plays. Circa's able to get in the hits, which on this map, you know, if somebody's got the aim, they're going to get a few frags no matter where you move, but Zeal is really keeping them at a statistical outlier.
Nice little rocket jump from Zeal, just hanging out up top, waiting for that armor to spawn, and of course with it in hand, he can now do some pretty nasty things. He can survive a number of rails, so you know, and his opponent, on the other hand, we're going to take a look at him. He's got 15 armor over full health. So it's going to be weak the instant that he gets hit with the railgun shot.
On the other hand, Zeal picking up the other Mega. We've got just a few more left to go here. We're just over the halfway point, 8 minutes, 24 seconds off the clock. And Zeal's still top of the map, finding Circa down below. Circa, if he could get in one more close-range shot with this shotgun, then he could at least knock off all the armor. And oh, the bounce off of that spawn is going to be absolutely deadly for him. If he had spawned over at Plasma Gun side of the map, he could have grabbed a rocket launcher and actually taken down Zeal fairly quickly. Wasn't in the cards, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, you know, if you take a look you know, waiting for that railgun that finally spawns, but you know, how much time is that away?